In our Victory Lap Spotlight this week, I want to introduce to you a driver from the Lone Star State of Texas, where for more than 40 years, he has driven and established himself as a short track legend. But it's what he has endured outside the cockpit of a stock car that should be an inspiration to all of us. You see, about 9 years ago, Greg Davidson lost one of his legs from an infection, and after a 4-year struggle, he had that leg amputated, and he has returned to the cockpit, and he proceeded to go back into victory lane at his home track, the 3/8 mile Houston Motorsports Park. But illness had not taken a vacation, and the toll that it has exacted was not done. You see, Greg saw his other leg amputated, and now he's back pursuing his passion of short track racing, and he's with me. All right, Greg, you got this never say die, I will not go away quietly type attitude when it comes to racing. What is it all about the world of short track racing that keeps you so laser-like focused?
It's all we've ever done. Our family, my son races, my brother-in-law races. In fact, I get to be at the track a lot of time with them numerous times throughout the year. And I've never fished, hunt, anything other than mess with cars. So I guess I'm just kind of hung up on it, but that takes my mind away from my other problems.
Well, and you've not allowed those problems to stop you. And, it's one thing, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal that after you lost your first limb, you went back to victory lane. And now you're actually fashioning a method to use the brake, to use the gas that is a little bit different than what we've heard from other race car drivers that are double amputees that rely on hand controls on the steering wheel. Tell me a little bit about what you've been tinkering with.
We've actually tried, and I took a steering wheel and cut an 8-inch section out, installed a motorcycle twist grip throttle into my steering wheel. The problem is there when you go in and you start turning, you do not have enough rotation on your wrist to keep the throttle on and back off. It was real hard. So what we did next, we tried a jet ski thumb throttle, and I managed to rip the front end off the car with that setup. What is happening is when you go to turn and that short throttle, you're from 0 horsepower to 500 in 3/4 of an inch. And it was way too hard to modulate it. And it become, after trying 3 or 4 different things on the steering wheels, it's kind of like if you had a regular driver and he looks down and his pedals are moving back and forth. You don't know where they're at. That's the same thing on the steering wheel, because if you get loose or if you have to get to a wreck or something, you turn the wheel a lot more than you do in a normal lap. And that made it so much harder. Right now, I actually made pedals at the front to the inside of front of my seat. And I'm using my nubs to work the throttle, and I got my other leg to work the brake. But I don't have enough leverage or strength in my short stump there to push these brakes as hard as they need to go. So I found a power brake booster off a Ford pickup and mounted it in the floorboard. My pedal pushes onto the Ford Hydro Boost unit, and then that's connected to my original pedals. So I'm still working on that, but I think I can make that work. So we went and tested yesterday, and it was the best it's been. But we came back and made some more changes, I think, that will make it better. But it's just kind of like a work in progress.
Yeah, but that work in progress, you continue to make headway, and you continue. And I'm just, to be quite honest with you, amazed the way you're thinking outside the box. So when do you think you'll return to Houston Motorsports Park and start duking it out with your buddies, for real.
For real. Hopefully it's better be pretty soon. I just want to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I understand this is a handicap, but my son told me once he's been doing it with one leg and moving it back and forth, that I'm just going to have to resign myself that I'm going to be a couple of tenths off compared to somebody that can, because you use the gas and the brakes so much and restarts and, in wrecks and back and forth. And all through the race last year, I was just jumping my pedal from one to the other, back and forth. And I got to where I could kind of crutch myself around. We were lucky enough to win a couple of races. But as far as racing this coming weekend, we're going to be in Mobile, Alabama. Gina is our track promoter here in Houston. She's also went over there and made a deal to where that's going to be some of our tracks too. And she's having a series of races between Houston and Mobile. So it will be interesting.
With all due respect to your son, and I'm sure he has a lot of good and sage advice, I just don't get the feeling that you are the type of guy that's going to settle and be a couple of tenths slower. How did you react when he said, well, you have to resign yourself to that? Because you don't sound like you would take that lying down.
Well, first off, you got to know him, but he calls it as he sees it. So I told him I'm going to hopefully make that a wrong statement that he came up with.
For more than 40 years, you've been doing this, and through thick and thin, through success, and through an awful lot of challenges. Why? I know you mentioned the camaraderie and the closeness that you have with your family, but to keep doing it after 40 years, I mean, you're like the ageless wonder. You're starting to make me think a Red Farmer who's still racing on the dirt in Alabama at 90.
Yes, exactly. I have nothing but respect for him too. So besides the age and not having any legs, I'm hoping that we can get to where we need to be. And if I can be competitive, I'll consider that a home run. But we're not quite there yet, but I'll find out more this weekend. Hopefully we'll have a real good run this next weekend.
While you were absent, there was certainly an abundance of get well wishes from fans, from your fellow competitors. How did that make you feel when you started on this journey that hopefully in just a week will come to its fruition and you get back on the track?
When I've had my first leg cut off, I sat at home on the couch. I burnt down all the friends I had because if I called, they knew I was wanting them to take me somewhere. Mm-hmm. And after a while, they got smart and didn't answer the phone. But I had to get off the couch here. My wife's been real supportive, my daughter and my son. So I've got a lot of backup helping me.
It's an amazing story, Greg, and I'm just so honored that you've shared it with us. And here's the deal. When you prove your son wrong, we're going to put him and you on the air, and I'm going to allow you to say, son, you were incorrect. I'm a tenth faster. How about that for a deal?
I will go for that. But he has a way of, we have an argument and I lose, then he takes my side and I take his, and I still lose.
Exactly.
So he's tough to get around sometimes.
Well, I think you're up to it. I do appreciate it. And as I said, very best wishes for the race coming up. And thanks for being part of the Wind Tunnel podcast. You are, as I said, a true inspiration to people, and they don't have to be race car drivers to take some inspiration from what you are doing and what you have done, and the way you have not allowed any of that to curb your enthusiasm. I do appreciate it.
I tell you what, All this racing is nothing if we don't have people putting the word out like you do and supporting the sport.
Greg, it's a real pleasure. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.